Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, world. Well, they got a complete mess. It is a complete mess out there. So, over the weekend, Donald Trump threatening Iran that if they do not open up the Hormuz Strait within 48 hours, which would put the deadline at Monday afternoon, that they would begin to attack nuclear power sites. Well, not just nuclear power sites. I think he said power sites in general. And Iran was kind of like, well, if you do that, then the strait will just remain closed forever. Oh, and we'll attack. What else did they say? They said they were going to attack something else. That was kind of like, oh, they would attack other oil infrastructure sites across the Middle East, etc., etc., etc. Then this morning, Donald Trump tweets that actually there's been some progress, that they are in talks with Iran, and yeah, so the market shot up, but the latest that I've heard is that Iranian media denying that there has been any discussions with the Americans. So let's come and look at the charts and see how that's stacking out. You can see pretty massive push back up and erasing the downside that we saw on Friday, which, by the way, was a very, very big move. Okay, if we have another push lower, like where we were opening up at, frankly, where we were opening up at is like bordering on VAR shock levels, which is basically the S&P 500 has to start tanking because the change in interest rates is so high so quickly that the stocks can't keep up with it. So, man, I don't know what it is down here, but I have been having sneezing so much the past day. Hold on a second. I'm going to be like scratching my nose all day. Okay, so there's the move. Let's look at it on across different assets. S&P 500, even bigger move up than the treasuries. Oil getting creamed at one point, going to $84 a barrel. Gold. Ooh, okay. Well, gold, it just looks so ugly, but they are recovering too. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in a little bit there on that. Let's just like pretend that this great, like, hey, remember when gold was almost 5,600? Let's forget that ever happened. Okay, there you go. Like that. Silver. Okay, silver's okay. Copper. Ooh, copper really jumped, and the Japanese yen. Really, really strongly responding to that, and the dollar too. In fact, I would say that move in the dollar is probably the most significant one we've seen yet. So that's very interesting. Seems like not loud enough to me. That's a little bit better. So what do you guys think is going on? Donald Trump's put the ultimatum out. Then he tweeted, oh, actually, it's okay. We're having discussions. And then Iran tweets and says, no, we're not. Probably part of why the markets have given back a lot of the gains, right? And by the way, where did we go to? We went almost exactly to regular session +2. I don't know about that one. That one's kind of weird. I mean, it wasn't the regular session plus 2. It wasn't that until down here, but kind of interesting. Trump probably just made someone money is all. Well, so hold on. So you're saying, the thing is I can't quite remember. So if we come back over here, right? I remember on Friday, the headline at the close being that Bibi was saying something positive. And then Trump came out and gave his ultimatum, right? So I don't see how you make money on that. I never put my collar stays in. You know, the other thing that kind of weirds me out about all of this is why the power plants? I mean, aren't you kind of like flirting with war crimes there at that point? Like once you start taking actions against civilian populations, that's when they say, hey, it's a war crime. Uzi says insider trade. Well, yeah, but how do you make money from insider trading when all of the stuff happened over the weekend? Right? Like we were down before, and then Donald Trump gives the ultimatum, and then you would think, oh, the markets will probably tank further, but the markets were closed, and then as soon as things were open again, you tweet something positive. So, well, if you had bought in on Friday's close, I suppose if you had bought in on equities, you would be okay. But I guess the thing is if your plan was to tank the market so that somebody else can buy, wouldn't you give the ultimatum on Friday? Insider accumulates a position overnight. Well, so it does there are maybe some signs that there was the actually everything's okay kind of tweet, the good tweet. There does appear to be a little bit of front running of that. Okay, well, so there's probably way too many possibilities to of how something like that would work to sort out. But let's just put that down as a theory. Why else would Trump tweet a lie about a war like that? I mean, you can get a lie about a progression of the war and get away with it, but to lie about what would basically be the end of it, ? I feel like that's a bit bigger of an issue. Okay. So here's my theory. My theory is there are competing Iranian factions, right? There's one faction there, and it's probably not even a faction. I bet you it's one guy. I bet you that there was one diplomat that said, you know what? We're willing to give up uranium enrichment. If we give up uranium enrichment and you give us money to rebuild and we'll reopen the strait and everything will be happy. And then there are other people, probably the people that are, I don't know if you can really say anybody is in charge of Iran, but the most in charge of Iran right now in the IRGC, hardliners, say, no, we're not doing that. And so they're the ones that tell the media first. And of course, if it was just a diplomat, he wouldn't be able to say much to, right? That's my theory. So now that you've heard my theory, do you still think that your theory is more likely? And if you do think that your theory is more likely, why do you think that that's a more likely theory than my theory? So for those of you just turning in, the question is, why would Donald Trump tweet something that basically suggests that a diplomatic resolution that could end the war is at hand, and then Iran immediately deny that report? And Uzi says Trump was making the whole thing up, and he just did it to pump markets so that people can make money on the markets, insider trading. I say maybe there's competing Iranian factions. I don't know what's likely. It's a Trump market. All I know is when Trump is president, make as few decisions as possible. You know what? The first term for Trump, what would we call, is it his first term? Yes. Trump's first term, I did pretty good trading some of the news items from Trump's presidency. Yeah. That was when I really kind of started to make the shift to, yeah, news is really important. It was during that presidency. And during this presidency, it has not worked out the same at all, has it? It has not been the same at all. It is like everything is crazy all the time, and you just can't, like it's too volatile. It changed. It used to be you could kind of sit there, he would tweet, people wouldn't understand what he's tweeting, then you take the move. Now it's like, by the time you realize, by the time we even read the tweet, the market's already done its move, and good luck trying to hold any position after that, because then he's going to tweet something else that 5 minutes that he's started something else completely different in another spot of the world. It just can't keep up. I've kind of been waiting here, frankly, for an opportunity here in the treasuries to kind of start getting active, and it went from completely dead to everything is crazy all the time, just like that. And I'm just like, oh, okay, hands up. I am kind of, when I was reading the headlines this morning, I was kind of thinking, hey, you know what? This would be a good spot to go long. Maybe not even that. Maybe I should put some of my cash to work. Now I'm not sure. Now I'm not sure. There sure is a lot of movement going on at the moment, too, by the way. Oh, my news squawk disconnected on me. Let me relaunch that. Okay, so the reason the treasuries are moving right now is Goolsby. Inflation has to be a little ahead of employment right now. Currently, inflation seen as the most significant risk to the economy. Okay, so that's why they're a little bit hawkish because of Goolsby. Wow, OnlyFans founder dead at 43? Really? It's always unnerving when someone our age dies. Yes, well, you know what I always think in those situations, though, is why am I not the head of OnlyFans or whatever website? I probably wouldn't start a website like OnlyFans, but actually, you know what? I think that I would totally start a website that is creator funded, and then say, hey, we'll allow anybody, even if it's spicy content. Because I don't think that OnlyFans' intention was necessarily to become the... Okay, whoa, what's this? Trump tweet again? Anyways, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. I don't have the connections to start a company like that. I don't know how to start. Like, I think I've always wanted to start a company like that, and I need like the connections and access to capital and everything to do it. And I wish I understood. Okay, Axios is saying that Turkey and other countries are passing messages between Trump and Iran. The market seems to be reading that as a positive, as a supportive of Donald Trump's claims that there are talks going on. I gotta sneeze. Turkey, Egypt, and Pakistan have been passing messages over the past 2 days in an effort to de-escalate. So that doesn't necessarily explain why Iran is denying the report, but does kind of suggest to me that some of the other countries are getting nervous now. Some of the other countries are like, this is kind of a problem. We need to do something about this. Recent Iran talks happened last night. Anyways, yes, when I see somebody that's like our age did something amazing, and I'm like, why didn't I do something amazing like that? I think I'm capable of doing it. I just didn't. Because I don't know how to get something like that started. I can come in and I can say, hey, let's make a service that does X, Y, and Z. Right? All the time. Like, but I don't know how to start one like that. I do have a feeling Iran is using a strategy that solely impacts the markets. Like, they're basically saying anything that could be interpreted by US markets, it's basically the only way they can attack us. So I was with you up until you said basically the only way that they can attack us, because the thing that's kind of made me a little uneasy over the weekend was this attempted attack on that UK base that, like, originally they didn't want the US to use, and then the US did use it, and Iran shot a missile at it and it missed, but it basically showed that Iran had a much larger range than they ever purported to have. Basically meaning that Iran could attack European cities if they wanted to. So I keep looking at this, and part of it is like, this is an existential battle now. But then the other thing that I keep seeing and realizing is, well, it is an existential battle, but they are holding back. They haven't used every arrow in their quiver. There's plenty of other things that they could do. But I think that the impact the U.S. on the markets is part of the strategy. Is part of the strategy for sure. And but I kind of think it's a bad strategy. I kind of think it's a bad strategy because I think that their whole calculus is, well, if somebody attacks us and then we can do all of these things back and it makes things really rough for them economically, any world leader is going to back off on that because they're going to be afraid of the impacts to their economy and, their re-election prospects as a result, right? But I think what's happening is you start attacking the economics, everybody goes and says, well, this is exactly why we should not allow Iran to exist, right? Like, I think it kind of backfires. I also think it kind of backfires because they cannot hurt the world economy without hurting their economy. Like, basically, the strategy that they are using basically guarantees some form of regime change. I mean, they can impact the price of oil. They aren't selling with just a few words. That's true. Iran had a plan to charge $2 million per tanker on. Hadn't heard that one. Yes, so volatile. It is scary to trade. I mean, I'm watching the treasuries, and seeing the treasuries move up makes me want to participate. But the headline that's come through is, I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm not saying it's not a real headline, but I am kind of like, I'm not sure what we should actually make of that. Is that actually a significant story? Or, I mean, is that like actually should affect the markets? And I'm not sure. And especially seeing we had that big move up and then came back so far. I'm looking at that and I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can buy extended session plus 2 sigma. Like, you know? So I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit ADHD, like bouncing back and forth between topics. But the OnlyFans founder dead at 43 is really interesting to me. So point number 1 was, why isn't Seth founder of OnlyFans? Number 2, how did he die? Was the circumstances around his death suspicious? Because that sounds suspicious to me, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Who done it? Let's see here. Leonid Radvinsky, the Ukrainian-American billionaire who purchased the adult content subscription in 2018, has died at the age of 43. Is that who we're talking about? 32 minutes ago. Oh, he died of cancer. Okay, so it's not suspicious. Okay. Man. Now I'm doubly jealous of this guy. He founded OnlyFans in 2018 and then died of cancer. It sounds like he was just an amazing, you know, he just did amazing things and then died early because he was done. News seems timed to avoid a market sell-off this week. Okay, so let's put that as theory number 3. Can we put that as theory number 3? Wait. Do I have? Oh, I don't. What's with that? Oh. Okay, Bloomberg is reporting that the talks with Iran included Jared Kushner, and I forget who the other envoy was. Then they happened Sunday night. Let's see here. Forex flow. Okay, a quick review of the Iran timeline situation. Trump started off Friday with the "we're close to ending hostilities" truth bomb, followed up Saturday with the 48-hour threat. Today says they're having talks, 5 days ceasefire. Iran denies any talks. Israel says it's business as usual. Stories saying the 5 days is a delay for Trump to get troops in the area. Axios reports Witkoff and Arachi have been speaking again. Oh yeah, that's Kushner and Witkoff are the two envoys. Trump has just popped up on Fox to repeat deal with Iran could be done in the 5 days, and Iran denials are BS. Risk is taking the positive angle that we might be near the end, and importantly, the Witkoff story has second definite no smoke without fire. There may be a deal with the moderates coming, but that doesn't mean the hardliners will agree. For now, we just switch to risk as a buy on dips until it's not. Okay, so I think that Forex Flow's synopsis is correct, and synopsis is correct that we are in a I would rather be long. They also kind of seem to be suggesting that they're on the same. They agree with my theory that maybe it's competing Iranian factions. Let's not say Trump was just pumping markets. Let's say insider trading setup, beating Iran factions, and then delay tactic. AFOL says it was 90 yesterday. Real feel is 26 degrees now. This mom, my house isn't the best. Stole all my heat fast due to heavy winds. Been big swings. Did it really get to 90 in Chicago? It got hot here in Utah, but I don't think it was 90. Man, I went outside to do some yard work, and I think it was only out there for like an hour before the boys wanted to go inside, and I was like, done. I don't even feel like I worked very hard. I was just like, feel like that my my longevity in the sun is just like took a nosedive, you know. I've got this Rubik's Cube in front of me, and it's almost solved, and I can't remember the move to fix it. And I screwed it up. Already screwed it up. Oh, actually, I'm close. That's interesting. What did I do there? How did I do that? No? It is also really hot in my house. Or maybe just in this room. What is it in here? It says it's 71 in the entryway. Do you think crypto will never recover? Oh, I wouldn't say that. Eventually with cryptocurrency, you will get to the point where the supply becomes constrained enough that the price starts moving back up again. I really think that the whole thing with cryptocurrency is it's really kind of like a bubble machine. Like it's going to go and create like crazy heights, and then it's going to decline like 80%, and then it's going to go push up again. Which, you know, kind of has interesting implications for your money if you're putting it in crypto, right? I am just apparently too out of practice here with Rubik's Cube, my friends. I'm hearing headline that Japanese government is considering intervention in oil futures. Oh, so if the US isn't going to do it, then Japan will? Well, that's interesting. I think, by the way, thinking of the weather, that there's like another cold front coming through in a week or two. Well, nothing on my 7-day forecast. It's going to get up to 84 on Wednesday. The West has this high pressure heat dome sitting over us. It's like already 100 in Arizona, which apparently is what happens when you get a super El Nino. Treasury's kind of headed back down at the moment. You know what? I'm way too out of practice that one. I did it wrong. Did the wrong thing there. German Chancellor saying that he told Trump his concerns with attacking Iranian power plants. Better. Then we get a case that I definitely don't remember. Not that one. Now that won't bother me anymore. Kind of wondering here on the downside that 18.5 will play a part again, or what it's going to do here. Oh, I didn't see here another post for Moran is speaking and says that it's too early to judge the situation. Vital says I hit one stop loss and one take profit. Is too hard to take the oil island? No. I think that taking the oil island is probably easy at this point. I think it's more about, do you actually want to do it, and are all of the pieces in place? So last Friday, I was saying, like, this is, will the U.S. attack Karg Island day? And if you check on Discord, I kind of started, looking through, reading a couple of stories that kind of suggested to me that they weren't ready yet. So maybe it's next week. Maybe they do it next week. And we need 5 days so that we can attack Karg Island. That would make sense to me. Should we put that on here? Oh, wait, we put that on here that this is a delay tactic. Yeah, for Karg Island specifically, but could be a delay tactic for maybe multiple things. One of the frustrating things about this sort of thing is that normally I would be like, okay, let's jump on social media and see how different people are interpreting this particular information and see if there's any really good, theories about what's really going on. But you really just can't do that anymore, because all of the comments that you're going to see are just people raging about Donald Trump. And it's really, really, really old. I'm really quite tired of it. I tell you what, guys. If J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio ends up being the next president, and they do the same thing with the next president, which I kind of think that they want to, I'm just going to be so done. I cannot stand the internet anymore with the way that this is going. Maybe it's just that the internet that I knew is dead. Like the people that would post that I kind of thought were interesting to look to and all of that, they're too old, they're too busy, they're not doing stuff. It's been taken over by Gen Z, and they're idiots. And it's just that the internet will just never recover. Is that what it is? Or maybe there's nobody posting and it's all just propaganda robots. That's the other possibility. The internet just sucks now, yeah. You get me thinking about this conversation that we were having the other day, where it's like, one of the things with the younger generation is that everything is kind of telling them to not try. And what is that about? And some of it is, oh, don't try because it doesn't matter how hard you try, you're not going to be successful or become a millionaire anyways. Is I think one component of it. But I think that there's another component of it, which is like, it's a social jockeying sort of a thing. Like, if you try too hard, you're viewed as low value. Because why would you be trying unless you were low value? And I think that that's something that you just got to ignore. Like, what really matters is your effort, you can't necessarily control all of the outcomes. You can't necessarily control everything, every opportunity that comes your way and how they go. There's risk involved. And sometimes you're going to get in something and it doesn't work out. And the only thing that you can really control is your effort. And so it's important for you to put your best effort forward all the time, because that's how you get better and you grow. And if you don't put your best effort all the time, then there's going to be a time where you could have made it, but because you hadn't practiced putting forth your maximum effort, your current effort isn't going to be good enough because you're not practiced in it, right? And I almost kind of feel like that this is actually like an underhanded tactic by people that maybe are already at the top of the hierarchy to kind of prevent competition, right? Well, anybody that's doing something to try and change their position in the hierarchy, there must be something wrong with them. And while I'm on rant mode, Vital says you're right. Thank you. I appreciate it, Vital, because most of the time, people either are like, "No, Seth, you're wrong," or they just ignore you. So when I'm right and you tell me I'm right, I appreciate that, because it's like, okay, maybe I'm not just crazy. Maybe the internet actually is not dead. The other thing that I keep seeing that really bothers me is the AI is going to replace everybody propaganda was going super, super hard on my TikTok this weekend. I'm like trying to swipe away from it and everything, and it just keeps showing me this stuff. You know what it was? It was because I commented on this video. The All In podcast had an interview with the CEO of NVIDIA. And the CEO of NVIDIA was like, well, we pay people like $500,000 a year. And if we're paying you $500,000 a year, you should be using at least half of that on AI tokens. Like if they're not spending at least $250,000 a year on AI tokens, then what are they doing? There's something wrong there. And I'm like, this is absolutely bonkers. Because I've got some guys that they will spend like $125 a day in tokens. And that's like, they're running it all day. They've got this framework of like 15 LLMs all working on an issue together. And these guys have no effing clue what they're doing. So it's extremely inefficient. It's like, build the thing. Oh, I don't like this. Change this. And then it debugs it. And, you know, they're literally vibe coding it, right? So they're wasting a lot of tokens. And even then, they would probably only spend $150,000 a year in tokens. So how do you get to 250? How do you get to 250? Somebody that knows what they're doing is not going to spend that many tokens. So I think the NVIDIA CEO is talking out his ass. Has no effing clue what he's talking about. He doesn't even realize that there's kind of an upper limit on how many tokens you can practically use right now. And then, you know, you keep getting all these people that are absolutely convinced that it's AI already replaced me in chat. Oh, is that so? Have all your comments been coming from a large language model now? If that's the case, I didn't notice. I didn't notice. Hey, Paul says, don't like huge hyper-specific prompts and making AI rethink could try to use the 250, but Jensen is an effing liar, actually a proven liar. His own engineers had to come out and expose his last lie. Really? Could he be trying to pump up demand for hardware used to process said tokens? Oh, I think so. I mean, the reality is right now is that there will have to be a huge increase in the actual usage in order for some of these companies to meet their targets and stuff. And when they don't meet their targets, there's going to be a pretty ugly crash. How widespread it's going to be, I don't know, but NVIDIA would probably be the epicenter of it. Probably. And I haven't done any math on like how realistic are their targets. I have seen a lot that suggests to me that most developers are not fully leveraging AI. Which, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what they're doing. I have found that AI can be pretty darn effective at doing infrastructure engineering type stuff. Which is not to say let it design your systems when I say infrastructure, but I mean, like, you know what the infrastructure is supposed to be, and you're just trying to find the configuration that actually does that, and the AI can really help you there. And there's been many times I can remember in the past where we're trying to do something, and it can take like all week to find the configuration that is correct and works and does what it's supposed to. And the whole rest of the week is just searching the documentation and randomly trying different variations to try and figure out what that is. And the AI has enough examples out there, apparently, to find them most of the time. And it's also really good at, you've got to, you know, the change that needs to be made, but it needs to be made in a bunch of different places. Does that very, very quickly. So for what I do, the AI is really, really useful. The AI is not the place where it could replace me. The issue is that the reason I'm able to do that is because I have so much experience. I know what it's supposed to be. And if you hadn't been around and been doing it for a long time and know as much about these different technologies as I do, you're just not going to know what to tell the LLM. And if you try and, well, okay, we have this problem, how should you solve it? And you ask the LLM that question, they seem to be absolutely terrible at it right now. Especially if you're not well, at least in Claude. If you're not using Opus, then it can be really, really bad sometimes. So I just and then you get into some of the more involved engineers. Like I'm sorry, you're just not going to replace them. You have to understand the technology. So this idea, I think that everybody in the future will be using large language models to some extent, but this idea that it's just going to replace everybody, I think is absolutely ridiculous. Vital says, I think chips can't physically go below 2 nanometers, so Elon joining the market of chips just in time. Apal says, to save themselves from AI overinvestment of hardware, they have to find uses. So if y'all didn't know, NVIDIA's AI for games, for example, DLSS 5 is proven as literally a Snapchat filter. Yes, basically. And blatant lies to the games and the like, but I have never heard anyone even consider at all that NVIDIA and those GPUs could be lying about things other than gaming too. Why is nobody using AMD Ryzen AI chips? Too slow? They're no good. Well, and NVIDIA has this CUDA framework, and basically you want to do stuff on the GPU, you use CUDA, and they're granted the hold on that is kind of breaking up, but it's still kind of like everybody just uses CUDA. Right now, it's like trying to compare Minecraft to Call of Duty. Minecraft works good. It's different, blocky, limited. While Call of Duty is fancy with fancy graphics. You know what I mean? I also really reject this idea that like all of these pieces of software that people are using, nobody's going to pay for that anymore. They're just going to make their own solution. I don't think so. I think that there are some pieces of software that could be replaced by like open source alternatives and things like that. But the issue is that even if you built it all with AI code, the process of building an application is still a pretty involved thing. You're paying for the sum of the decisions and not necessarily the time for coding it. So some of these things could get cheaper, but they're not going to go away. Just means that like only some of the software as a service stocks getting pummeled are justified. Can we talk about why Facebook Meta needs a data center the size of Manhattan? Because they have an over-optimized algorithm that keeps people stuck in a scrolling loop, and that's essentially how they make all their money. I'm really bothered. I really feel that a lot of what we see going on. So the big story in my networks, but again, like content that I don't really engage with, but it's a thing here in Utah, is that the girl that kind of started the whole daily lives of Mormon housewives, she, in that first season, basically got arrested for domestic violence because she was throwing chairs at her husband, like literally just flinging chairs at her husband. And then the Bachelorette decided to make her the Bachelorette, and surely they knew when they asked her to do that, and you interview them and all of these sorts of things. But I don't know what happened, but the husband gave the video to TMZ. TMZ put it out. There's all this controversy. I don't know if it was like advertisers got cold feet or what, but they pulled the plug on the whole season, which is a pretty big deal, frankly. Pretty big deal to pull the plug on the whole season. That's like millions of dollars lost. You made this product and then you just don't even show it. They would probably make a ton of money if they put it out now. Maybe they will go back on that. Why is this lady being given all this stuff? Like they are making mondo money from it. They're making major money from it. And I remember the first time that woman came up on my TikTok feed, and I was like, oh hell no, immediate swipe. It like she just got red flags written all over her. The whole thing that started, because the way that she got famous was they kind of created their own little hashtag mom talk or whatever, right? And it was like a group of 4 or 5 of them or whatever, right? And then she told on them that they were soft swapping. And that was the drama that kind of catapulted them to larger stardom, right? So the whole reason that they're even like Mondo famous is kind of red flag, right? Why is that the thing that we're choosing to push? But that's the thing, is it's not. We're not choosing it. The algorithm is choosing it and pushing it on us because it's drama and division. So the only conclusion that I can make is that it is time to disengage from larger platforms, particularly Facebook. I'm just been like straight up telling people now, like, I would spend as little time on Facebook as I can. Like, yeah, there's still useful stuff on there. I would still go there, but I would like jump on Facebook, scroll it for 5 minutes, be done. Time limit yourself. Don't just scroll on Facebook all day, because Facebook, in particular, is an intrinsically toxic website. They have basically changed it from what it originally was to push towards engagement. And the way that they do that is by making everything toxic. This is why they kind of push Facebook groups on you. Because you get the Facebook groups and then there will be a discussion, and then there'll be some toxic discussion that gets everybody going, and they keep coming back and commenting on it over and over and over again, and that's where Facebook gets all its engagement from. So just don't go there. Only when you free yourself from the addiction will you see how bad yourself was and how bad others are. No social media, including your super toxic Reddit crap. Well, I think it's not even that. Like, I think that many people do see like how bad, like, oh man, I'm gonna sneeze. I think a lot of people can see the phone addiction and how bad it can be, and are maybe in denial about how much it's hurting them. Because the thing is it's like, well, yeah, but what else would I be doing? Well, you never know what you would have actually filled your life with if you weren't doing that. So who knows? But I think that the problem is that the really negative effects are more a result of complexity. It's like it's not necessarily the individual impact that it has on you as much as it is that you get everybody together and they're all talking, and how does that change their attitudes and behaviors and what we're talking about and all of these sorts of things. And only then do you see it, right? And so there are lots of things going on right now, like cultural issues that people are complaining about. For instance, there's a large swath of young men out there that are, so this, I think maybe another reason why this is getting talked about a lot in my networks is because of that Netflix documentary about the manosphere, which I haven't seen yet. But there's a lot of young men that, you know, are basically becoming anti-women, or at the very least very misogynistic, in my opinion. And they blame it all on women. And I say that actually it's Facebook's fault. I think that this is all like psychosis created by social media. And it just kind of happens that women are way, way more influenced by it. Facebook and Instagram blocked me 5 minutes after using it. What? What did you do that get you blocked on Facebook that quick? Let's see here. If the AI bubble bursts, I'm buying me 2 more fancy GPUs to run local large language models, and Meta needs it because they need more AI fast to try and save their quickly dying business. I mean, I kind of feel like that Facebook has already lost the war, huh? Like their AI just can't compete. Even after spending all of this money, they were just too late. So the news squawk said something about Trump and bombing the power grid. The market seemed to be going back down again. I'm not quite sure. Meta products in general are just useless garbage. Yeah. Well, they overfitted their model, right? Yeah. So if you're, I guess I'm not talking to the right people. If you have a young person in your life that wants to get into machine learning and artificial intelligence and everything, right? Send them my way, or send them a clip of this. If you're working at a company and they say we need to optimize everything towards this one metric, it's just this one simple metric, red flag. Because that's what they did at Facebook. So they basically said, we're going to optimize everything towards engagement. And it turns out that while engagement might work okay for the company in the short term, it's really bad for everybody in the long term, which probably means that it's actually bad for the company in the long term too. Because I think that in the long term, everybody's going to have to realize that that stuff is just bad for you and to not engage with it. Yeah, Facebook itself is just a straight up slop feed. If it were more friend oriented, people would probably spend more time on it. Yes. Yes. See, when Facebook was just me and my friends and the things that my friends were working on, like, you're computer nerds and everything, or we were computer nerds and everything. So if they were making something, like they made a website or whatever, and then you would put it on Facebook and everybody would say, oh, that's a lovely website. Here's what I think about it. Here's some things that you could do, or I could help you do it. And that was the sort of stuff that happened on Facebook in the beginning. And then what they did is they said, oh, no, we can't do that because that's promotion. And if people are able to just organically promote themselves on the platform with their group of friends, then we don't make any money. So they changed it. They ruined it. They literally ruined it to make more money. Or at least what makes them more money in the short term. Because, yeah, basically the reasons that everybody got on Facebook in the first place, I feel like you can't use it for that stuff anymore. Like, I can't use Facebook to keep up with friends and family because the only people that post are posting political bullshit all the time. As a kid, I had MySpace and put my own background in custom design. It's a digital retirement home now full of boomers who think the slop is real and get scammed while Meta does nothing to stop it because without the scammers, Facebook would generate like 50% less value. I'm sure it's a significant portion for sure. And I mean, the thing is that I really think the solution is not get rid of the internet, but the solution is to move to smaller networks, to go to applications or places that allow you to have a small group, like what we have here, right? Because we will argue about things and we got stuff, but ultimately, like, we're a team here, and I'm with you guys until the end, right? Like we are a real tribe. And I think the issue is we're building networks that are larger than a tribe. Essentially, we're ignoring the way that human civilization has organized itself up until now. You have families, you have your tribe, and then you have like states, countries, etc. and those each of those different levels are able to unify people through different control of different parts of the structure altogether, right? And what Facebook did is they basically said, no, we're not going to have any of that stuff. We're just going to have everybody all together in one big gigantic network, and everybody vying to be the one on the top. Except for that, we won't let any one person dominate it, because that takes power away from us. That's what happened. Yeah, like the fact that Facebook defaults to only showing users a max of 25 of their friends' posts scattered randomly in an ocean of sponsored slop is actually ridiculous. If X would pay Seth for live streaming, Seth would move there immediately. Well, we did stream on X a little bit, actually. And I think it was one of those things that was like, okay, let's try it for a week. And then we did that. And then the weekend comes and I just completely forgot that you can even stream on X, is what I think happened. Honestly. I've always had trouble getting any kind of traction on X. And makes it really, really hard to be consistent with it. You know what's something that really, really bothers me is, okay, well, I don't have as much time to spend trying to promote Speculator Seth on social media right now. But that's not the thing that bothers me. The thing that bothers me is that when I think about where I want to be putting some more effort and like what would I be doing if I had a little bit more time during the day, I think of making TikToks, and I kind of feel like that TikTok doesn't like me or just isn't built for my content or something, because every time I do post on TikTok, I just don't have much success with it. That's what bothers me, is that I keep wanting to go to TikTok. You see, it's kind of turning into this vicious cycle where I feel really negative about all social media, and that is causing me to not want to engage with any of it. And then that in turn causes me to not promote my, let's call it our business, as much as I should. Wow. Meta and Google are bad offenders of allowing bad actor ads, for example. You know where these old people get their virus in their phones? It's sponsored results of a Google Play Store. Really? You know, I don't know how a virus on your phone works at all. For all I know, I have one on my phone and I just never knew. Okay, Trump is speaking on Iran. He says we have had strong talks. And he said we have major points of agreement. Do they fight it? They say so, but it's been that way over a year. Well, it's kind of to the point where now that you can like run fraud with viruses, or sorry, with AI, once you can use AI to enable your fraud, it just becomes overwhelming. It seems like it's easier to create the fraud than it is to stop the fraud. So what do you do about that? And honestly, I think that this is why you're starting to see legislation pushing towards verification of everybody. Okay. He said that they will talk today on phone, probably. So, part of me wants to join this, but I'm not hearing a game changer on it. I don't think that anybody is sitting out here going like, oh, okay, I didn't believe him before, but now that Donald Trump is speaking on it, now I think that it's the real deal. So I bet you that this upside is probably robots. And so that makes me weary about following it, because if I buy in, the robots are just going to take their profits, right? Facebook is so awful. I won't click links sent to me by my friend. Oh, yeah. Well, somebody private messages you on Facebook with a link, they've probably been hacked. Talking about new Supreme Leader. I don't want him to be killed. Anyways, it's really wild to watch that they are literally trying to destroy the anonymity of the internet, and like it's happening, and everybody is kind of like doesn't realize that it's happening. I don't think so like the only communities that I've seen that have really been upset, well, there was the Discord thing, and now the Linux community, because states are enacting laws that basically say that the operating system has to verify the age of the user. Just saw a Verge article that they're going to start going after VPNs next. Thinks that would make sense. And Reddit, I think that this one came out over the weekend, that Reddit is discussing doing face verification. So like every time you start using the website, it will want to take a picture of you to verify your face, that it's you. That's a pretty crazy, because I think one of the things that kind of helped Reddit's popularity at first was that you could make an account and you didn't even need to have an email with it. You could just make a throwaway account. Because frankly, a lot of the stuff, I tell you what, like half of the stuff that happens on Reddit are things that those people don't want anybody else to know about, right? Like I would say that a pretty large portion of Reddit's traffic comes from pornography, for instance. And then another really large portion of their traffic comes from political extremism, right? Like, would you want all of your friends at school to know that you're an anti-neonatalist? Probably not. But that's a lot of the stuff that goes on. Or even just maybe you have some niche interest. Like, I don't know if you want, I want to tell everybody about calligraphy. Yeah, no, because most people aren't interested in that, right? I think, they'll get ideas about you just from that, so you don't necessarily. I'll tell my stream about it, because you guys are stuck here with me, right? But, so if all of the sudden, like, everything has to be verified, well, I think that there would still be anonymity. It's just that, like, you would be able to post stuff and your family not know. Is just that if there was, like, a law enforcement, they'd be able to find you. And that they can verify that you're a real person. A large portion of their traffic comes from registered sex offenders. Sure. I think it's a little bit wild how often... like it doesn't surprise me. Oh, this person, turns out they were a sex offender or they had child pornography on their computer or whatever. Like, that doesn't surprise me. Just like within millions of people, there's going to be that 0.0001% of them that have that problem, right? And you're going to see them. But what surprises me is how often it is that person that was at the center of a controversy, like some left-wing kind of controversy sort of thing, ends up being in that. That is a little alarming to me. You know what I mean? You have some big controversy, and there'll be this person in front of it defending this degeneracy, and then a year later you find out, oh, actually, they have child pornography. I wonder why you were defending this other degeneracy earlier. Happens so often, it just really shocks me. And I know that like that could be selection bias, but that's why I say the reason that it bothers me is how often it's prominent people. People in like real positions of, should I say power? I don't know. Paul says they need us to all identify ourselves so their drone and AI countrywide coverage can track everyone and everything together. With AI verify, Reddit, and more helps the AI death drone verify you. Oh, I'm actually, I don't think that that's what it's about, Paul, because I'm pretty convinced that the U.S. government already has the ability to track you. Even if you're using a VPN, I think that maybe they have the ability to track you. I would bet money that some of those VPNs, they have a little server sitting in the back somewhere that's owned by the FBI and yada, yada, yada. Because, you know, there's been things like these stories from AT&T where they're like, yeah, the government comes in and installs something in the room. Don't tell anybody about it. Like, we know that stuff has happened. And I'm going to bet you that it's happened at VPNs. I remember this one thing where people were claiming that the FBI already basically knows the owner of every Bitcoin wallet out there. Like, holy crap. No, this is for businesses. This is for businesses. The entire business internet is essentially at risk because of the AI spam. That's what's prompting this. And the advantages to the government are probably like just an extra bonus. What about that Roblox AI check verify that was being beat by game faces? Remember that? Give them 1 year of contrast, updated facial scans, and more, and it will become actually accurate. Yeah, and I don't think that face scans is going to be the end solution. I think that it's going to move towards there are services to verify you. Like, there will be this service, and in order to register, you know, like, so like the government already has this. The government has this like ID verify me thing. And you think that it's run by the government, but then you find out that it's actually run by a private company and that there's been leaks from that private company. But basically, you have to upload like your social security card and your birth certificate and that stuff to it to verify who you are. And this is used for government stuff. And so what I think this will move towards is probably one company will monopolize it. You verify yourself on that one with that one provider, and then that gives you access to all the rest of the internet. And probably the result of this also, by the way, will be less people talking on the internet. Because not only will you not have the bots, but then a really large component of the people that participate in like Reddit comment threads are the type kind of like Uzi here saying that like, well, that alone was just going to get me off the internet. A lot of those people are like the privacy nut. Well, I'm not saying Uzi is a privacy nut, but I'm saying that a lot of those Reddit types that are like the most active are privacy nuts. That they're, because for me, I don't care. I'm kind of like, well, I'm screwed anyways. I want to chat on the internet, right? So I think it's a bad and a negative thing, but I think it's gonna happen, and there's not anything I can do about it, so I'm just going to continue to participate. I will verify myself and participate and probably have my identity stolen multiple times, and who knows what else. It's because, I mean, most of what I do on the internet is useless anyways. Well, you know, I don't find... Man. I mean, I find interacting with people in building communities on the internet is a very, very worthwhile thing. I just don't feel that Twitter and Facebook and TikTok really allow me to do that. YouTube has, and I kind of wonder if it's in spite of YouTube, not because of YouTube. Yeah. For me, the internet is almost entirely read-only. APL says 100% the same as crazy people are other ways like Sethia. I love to write. Well, again, it's because of the community that you get. The kind of community that keeps me involved can only exist on the internet. Only on the internet are you able to get enough people interested in that super niche thing. Because for me, it's turning into like I'm intense. You know, I should just pick one thing and just stick with it, right? But no, not me. I'll get bored. I'll get bored. So I got to pick a new thing. I intentionally chose increasingly more niche things to try and get away from the normies. This is straight up what it is. So I have a daughter that is ADHD, or my stepdaughter is ADHD rather, and she's more ADHD than me in my opinion, and it's kind of funny watching her realize that she is not the normies. She's not on the normies side, right? Like, because I was talking about, like, you know, some people, particularly women, will potentially see you as competition. If you're doing really good at things, they'll see you as competition and treat you differently because of that. And some people are very, very sensitive to, like, how much like the group they are. And if they're not enough like the group, like they're dressed differently from the group, they're not up with the trend or whatever, they're concerned about their position in the group. And other people don't give a shit about any of that stuff. And she's like, wait, that's not everybody? Like I thought most people didn't give a shit about that stuff. Nope, it's just people like you and me. It's just you and me. It's the ADHD and autistic people that don't get it and don't participate in that game. Trump says that Iran does have some leaders left. Only on the internet could I find a community of my fellow men who like masturbating with dirty sponges. You know, I bet you that probably is a thing. My gosh, I saw on, dude, Instagram. What have they done on Instagram? It feels to me like Instagram has basically become Facebook, except for that there's no text-only posts, so it has to be a video or a picture, and that they basically just allow you to post anything. Like, Instagram is more lax than TikTok from what I can see. Instagram has the most banging comments, though? Really? You know what? Whenever I read the comments on Instagram, it's just like trash comments. I probably need to dig down into them more. But on Instagram, it's like half-naked girls and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's some of the stuff that Instagram has shown me I've been really quite shocked by. And one of the things that Instagram showed me last week was like these people were making silicone sex toys. Like, what? Why is that allowed on Instagram? That should get you banned. But there was this whole community apparently are built around this particular style of sex toys that were like looked like anime characters and stuff. Oh man. What does your history look like? Okay, so I finally got myself on Instagram, onto calligraphy Instagram. So now my feed is changing more towards so I think that what happened. Well, actually, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know. So here's the thing about my Instagram though. Okay. Instagram came about and I'm like, oh, it's just pictures with filters. No big deal. No big deal. But the rave community started leaving Facebook and moving to Instagram, which I thought it was the weirdest thing to me. Like, I feel like that ever since they moved to Instagram, that the rave community was a lot less personal. Really was. It made me sad. But so I moved over to Instagram in part because of the rave community moving. And if I recall correctly, that was after Instagram had been bought by Facebook. Basically, I'm not sure I remember Instagram before it was bought by Facebook. Okay. And then I started weightlifting. So I would add everybody in the weightlifting community that had an Instagram, right? So it did it like that. That's like how my account started and like who I follow on Instagram, right? And so I don't know because if I go to Instagram and I like click the search button, it just shows me girls. It just shows me girls. It's pretty crazy. And I think that is because either because of who I was following was like ravers and stuff, or it's because I hardly ever use Instagram. And if you don't use Instagram, but it knows that you're a male, it defaults to that. That's my theory. But more recently, I actually liked posts like these calligraphy things. Like somebody was showing stuff about italic and these different little nuanced things about italic that I was like, oh yes, I'm going to use that. I liked that. And now it starts showing me more of that. So now I'm on calligraphy gram. And that's, you know, now I actually am interested in going to Instagram every once in a while. The other thing I like to go to Instagram for is ads. I like to go to Instagram for ads. Like I want to buy a shirt or pants or whatever. I don't know what's out there. I'm just going to start scrolling on do a search for that and then start scrolling Instagram, and then I'll start getting ads for those products. And then I try to avoid buying the ones that are like being super heavily advertised, and but just like I can use that as like my research from there, right? Let's see here. What resolution is your main monitor? For calligraphy and looking at fonts online, nerds like you are almost adamant you must have 4K to see the fine lines and details in ways you can't even in 2K. Oh, really? I don't know. I don't know about that. You know, I looked a little bit at, you know, the computer applications that you can use for calligraphy and everything, because I thought maybe it would be easier to learn on the computer, but I've pretty much given up on that. It seems to me that it's not only is it more expensive to get the software, but you don't get as good of an experience. And so it's just better to go to paper. Granted, all I've done is italic. Here, actually, I was finding it too difficult with the smaller nib to tell if the nib was flat on the surface, because, you know, it's like a beveled edge. So I got a thicker one. So now I've got italic. Now I've got italic that's a little bit more of the chiseled edge italic. So that's what I did yesterday. Seth has nice clothes today. Oh, but I wear this shirt every week. I'm trying to move my wardrobe down. Like what happened was, okay, my old job, everybody just wore t-shirts. So I just had t-shirts, and I was a little bit smaller then too. Then we moved to the work from home culture. Excuse me. And when everything moved to work from home, you know, I just kept wearing that stuff. And then when it came time to come back to the office, it was kind of like, well, I don't really feel like that the clothes that I wear are good enough anymore. And the job that I was doing at the time, they insisted you had a button-up shirt. So I got some nice business shirts. That was like just a step above what everybody else is wearing. Cool. I feel good. And it was like, it fit me. Like I felt very comfortable. I feel very comfortable wearing this shirt, because not only is it a really comfortable shirt that's made out of cotton, but it reminds me of working at the bank. It just is kind of like I still kind of feel like that's where I fit the most or something like that. You know what I mean? But now I've moved to a tech company, and well, some people wear t-shirts, but I feel like it's kind of more smart casual. So I don't think that anybody thinks that like there's something very, very amiss, but I do get looks like that maybe he's more important than I actually am, right? So now I got to like dress down. So basically I got some business shirts. I started to dress up a little bit, and now all of a sudden it's like, actually you need to dress it down, Seth. So I'm moving towards more of a untucked Oxford shirt look. Is the way that I want to go. And linen. I love a linen shirt. Why is the market very slow today? I would not call it very slow. We've had some pretty wild swings. I do see, you know, at least for me, I'm not quite sure what to do with this market. It seems like I'm not the only one. There appears to be a lot of, you know, people not sure what to do with it, kind of being like, well, let's just wait and see what happens. ties seem to be dying in America a lot. And he went, yeah, it is. Nobody wears a tie to work anymore. When I was working at Goldman Sachs, I wore a shirt and a tie because I thought that's what the traders wore, And before I had left there, they were moving it like they had jeans day once a week. And then it was turned into, jeans day is every day now. And they moved like in the offsite, like the other outside of New York, they were letting what they call high value locations do that because it allowed them to attract more talent. And so, yes, and which I think is kind of weird, to be honest. Like, who goes and says, oh, I will work at this place, but not this place because this place has a more lax dress code? Okay. But apparently it helps them recruit. So definitely the workplaces become more and more casual. Which honestly, man, I feel a rant coming in. Oh, but it's time for me to get going. I feel like that there's a lot of interactions with class and hierarchy and everything there. And the move to the more casual workspace just makes that game more difficult for people that are not at the top of the hierarchy, because they don't necessarily, it used to be, you could just get a nice suit and then you would fit, right? The suit. Now it's like unclear what that is, or you have to wear something that's super, super, super expensive, right? Anyways, I should get going, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow we have a clear idea of what's going on and we can just buy. So I would love to just buy. But anyways, in the meantime, stay excellent, team.